All right, here we go. So 3, 2, 1. Well, it's so good to see you all. I love, love, love your smiles. What does it mean for you all to be here at this moment? Did you ever think this is where you would be after being diagnosed with COVID-19?
Not for a second. When I went into the hospital, I thought, oh, this will be 2 weeks. I'm healthy. It'll be fine. Had no idea the path the Lord was going to lead us through that would bring us near to death and then to this redemption miracle story. Never dreamed.
What were the effects that you were having that let you know what, maybe we need to go to the hospital? What was going on with you physically?
Well, I was coughing. I had maintained a fever of about 103. And initially, I thought I was having an allergic reaction. And I had just gotten over a bout of pneumonia. And so I thought, this is just some residual something. And finally said, I think this is more than that. Mm-hmm. And by the time I went to the hospital, going into the hospital, I was sure that I had it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so once you guys got there, Michele, what was going on in your mind when they finally gave you that, both of you all, the diagnosis that this was coronavirus?
Yeah, I didn't, I really thought that it would be maybe a couple weeks when he first went in, but I just had no idea it was going to be as long as it was. He was completely away from us for 40 days. And, but going into it, we just really thought this is going to be one of the things he'll have to do because he had pneumonia before. So it's more, it's going to be a little more extreme, but I had no idea how extreme it was going to be.
So on a ventilator, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long were you on the ventilator?
28 days.
Yeah.
28 days. And
which
then,
is extremely long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I watch the stuff that goes on in New York, and Governor Cuomo has said many times that once you're on a ventilator, that the likelihood is that that's the end. Did you all ever think that that was going to be the case during that time?
The doctors, like initially he went into our hospital here in Marion, which is where we live. And then they really wanted to get him to Lutheran Hospital in Fort Wayne because they had this particular rotating bed that was proven to be successful for some people. And so we tried to get the transfer, but Lutheran didn't approve it initially because he would not have survived the trip up there, which is only like 45 minutes. And so he was turned down initially. And so that was really discouraging. And then, of course, to find out that he was turned down because he wouldn't have survived, that was pretty dark. And then we prayed. I sent out to my friends, I'm like, please pray that he can get this transfer because that bed is really his only hope. And so he had this little tiny bit of improvement on one of the days at the end of March, like maybe the 30th or 31st or something. And they were able to transfer him at that point. And even once he got up there, he declined really fast. He bottomed out real hard, like the 31st and the 1st and 2nd of April. Those were really low. They were telling me there's nothing left that they can do. He's not going to make it. You need to be prepared and prepare the children. And it was really unbearable. Really, except that even in those dark moments, even talking to the kids, like God was there and just really gave us strength that we didn't have because it was so hard.
Did you have that conversation with the kids? What did you tell them?
Yeah. Well, I had gotten the phone call and I was kind of tucked away on the stairs. Anytime the hospital called, I went to the stairway. We have a lot of kids, so I needed to hear. But I was just sitting there and he told me that and I was like, oh, and I started crying. A couple of the kids came because they all knew I was talking to the doctor. And then I just I just told them, I said, guys, we really have to prepare ourselves that Dad might not make it. And that doesn't mean that our faith wasn't strong enough. It just means that God's going to help us in other ways. And they were amazing. My kids were amazing. And it was hard. We all just sat and cried for a little bit and held each other, and but God was there even then.
There. When did you all begin to realize that prayers were being answered and that you were going to make a comeback?
Well, for us on our end, he was, obviously asleep and unaware of most things. He has his own things that he did, but for us anyway, it wasn't really until Easter, on April, whatever Easter was, the 13th or something. That was the first time that they reduced the sedation enough and he was actually awake.
Wow.
And that was when I really had the most hope finally, because even when he was making tiny little improvements, all along in the beginning of April, the doctor, it was always couched in, this one little improvement, but all this bad, like, his kidneys shut down, his lungs weren't working, the x-rays were still not clearer on his chest. And, like it was all this other bad with this tiny little thing. But those tiny little shreds of hope were what we hung to. But then by Easter, that day when he was awake a little bit, that was the first time where I was like, God's really doing this. Like he's really doing this for us.
I don't see that as an ironic thing that happened on Easter. Talk about a resurrection.
Yeah.
It's one of the most humbling things when I realize that God shared his resurrection day with me.
Mm-hmm.
How that has touched me deeply. While I was under, I've heard people talk about, experiences, and you hear them and you believe them, but you sort of discount what some of these experiences are. I'm here to tell you, while my body was going through these things, there was a part of my spirit that was very present with God. And I remember clear as day going through and praying over each of our kids. And 3 of our kids are in very serious relationships that'll likely be permanent. And I prayed for those people too. And I prayed for my wife, and I just told the Lord, whatever you want to do with this, it's a yes. However you want us to serve you, it's a yes. Please don't take me from my children. Please don't make my wife raise these children alone. And I had this wonderful comfort that it would be fine. And although I had some side effects from the medicine that gave me some weird dreams and things, the truth is, through the whole process, I felt no pain. I had no worry. I had some anxiety that was to be expected, but the Lord just wrapped me and comforted me in all those days in isolation. And I'm just so thankful. And it was such a shock to come out and realize that thousands of people have been praying for me.
Yes.
Just a beautiful, humbling experience of what the body of Christ looks like.
Yeah. Wow.
It's been life-changing for me, not just in that my physical body went through so many things, but I will never buy into the lie that I don't matter.
Amen.
I will never buy into the lie that the little things we do don't have a purpose. I'm just a regular guy doing my job and serving God as I feel he's called me to do.
Wow. What's your newfound purpose? What do you think your newfound purpose is now?
Right now, I think my purpose is to be an encouragement to people who are struggling and doubting.
Amen.
And people need to be reminded that in all this chaos, in all this trouble, there's still a good and loving God whose ways we do not understand, but who is working for our good.
Amen.
And I am not worried about the future. I'm not worried about anything, because God has not brought us this far to leave us.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful. This experience, while it's been really difficult, has been a growing experience for a lot of people, and therefore it's worth it.
It's worth it. Amen. What a testimony. What a testimony. It is absolutely, there we go. Just, it literally is a miracle, but it's such an encouragement for so many people out there who will hear your story and to understand the power of God, and that no matter what we're going through, just to give it to him. And I love what you said. You said, either way, it's a yes. Like literally, either way, God, I follow you and I trust in your decision. I want to stay here on earth, but either way, it's a yes. I'm honored that you all are speaking to us. I really, really am. And I cannot wait to put this story together.
It's been a neat extra blessing. He's a teacher, and of course, classroom students were kept informed throughout the process, and we're praying very hard. And I'm a pastor of families and children, and so like my students were doing the same thing. And even former students, he's been a teacher for 24 years and stuff. And so it's just been neat to hear like these former students and these current students to have their parents tell us, or them tell us how much more faith they have in God. Like, because I mean, I was told by the doctor that no one as sick as David makes it. Like, he even said to me, and I'm not saying most people don't make it, I'm saying no one that sick makes it. And so I told him exactly why. I was like, God did this. And I know it.
Another miracle.
Yeah.
What was it like to see? I saw the picture of all of some of the students praying. I mean, how beautiful is that? And like you said, you had thousands of people praying for you. But when you come out and you physically see the manifestation of what they were doing, and how they were praying for you, how does that make you feel?
Loved.
Yeah.
I once up in Lutheran, I started to get a little glimpse of how far my story had spread. And the nurses at Lutheran, who all of the medical care I've received at Lutheran and at Marion General has just been outstanding. And they hung on my walls in my room all these notes and cards, so my room was covered with encouragement. And one of the nurses came in and said, "What is all this stuff?" I said, "That's what it looks like to be loved."
Amen.
I just, it's been such an encouragement to me to see students. One of my coworkers sent me a snapshot. She did an end of the year paper. And one of the questions was, what's something you learned in 4th grade? And this little child put that prayer healed Mr. Henry. Well, what other lesson do I want them to learn?
That's a life lesson. It literally is a life lesson that is the foundation and the bedrock of life and getting through anything we go through. It really is.
And I do feel a weight to make sure that I continue to be a positive voice and a constant reminder of God's faithfulness and of what's possible through the power of prayer. I feel that, and I feel it's a mixed blessing, because I also am acutely aware that hundreds of people don't have the same outcome that I have had. And I do grieve for those families that have lost someone through this condition, and I don't know why God picked me and not them. But I know that I'm the beneficiary of the prayers of God's people and the grace of God, and I'm going to do my best to live up to everything He's done for me.
Done for you. Amen. Amen.
And I want to continue to be an encouragement. And my story, it's not just one miracle. It's a whole chain of miracles. My kidneys are fine. My lungs are fine. My voice is not fine, but will be.
It will be.
It will be. If that's the only thing out of this huge ordeal, I'll take it and praise the Lord. It's fine.
Amen.
It's a whole series of miracles that Michele was to expect, that I might live on dialysis, or that I might have a lot of people have delirium for extended periods of time because of all the sedation. That has not been the case for me.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's truly a miracle.
Yeah. It is.
What was it like when you came home and you had, the celebration, the fire trucks coming through? What was that moment like?
I think the best thing was when he came out of the hospital, I was behind him and just seeing our kids at the door. Yeah. Because they, they've been through the ringer and they hadn't been able to see him. I got to see him a little bit at the end, but they hadn't. And so that moment, for me, I'll never forget the image of my kids' faces when they saw him come out and wrap around him.
That's a group hug of 11 kids. It's a good feeling.
It's a good feeling. I mean, I am just blown over. I cannot wait to share this with everyone next Thursday. And I love your t-shirts, Faith Over Fear. That really is, that's another, it's another testimony. It's, your faith over the fearfulness, because so many people right now are living through fear. We don't know what's going to happen. They're afraid to go out. If they are out, how do they protect themselves? I mean, there's still that spirit of fear, even though we know that God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but of, power, love, sound mind. But we're human. So what do you say to people to have faith over fear during this pandemic?
You have to make a willful choice that I'm not going to live captive to fear. I'm going to use common sense. I'm going to do the things I'm supposed to do. But for me, especially, fear came knocking at my door when I was alert and intubated and couldn't communicate. And so what I chose to do was I would breathe in a prayer like, Holy Spirit, cleanse my body. And then I would breathe out, make me the man you want me to be. God, give me the power to walk through this. Help me to use it for your glory. And you just have to make moment by moment choices that where you equip your mind to not be captive to fear. And again, you do what's necessary. We're going out with face masks. I'm a hugger. I'm not hugging everybody.
Which is killing us.
Yeah. You're like, I want to be connected. Yeah.
Oh, hug.
But there's a choice.
Well, and anxiety actually exacerbates the situation in a lot of ways. It makes you more susceptible. And so to have, to just go out in fear, you're putting yourself at a higher risk. And so in everything I've read a lot now, you really got to get rid of that fear. Like, you have to give that over, because it does make you more susceptible to not only this, but other illnesses. And it just reduces your immunity and your defense. And you can't live in fear. Like, it doesn't do you any good.
No, no.
So
What's
yeah.
next for you all as a couple and as a family? Have you decided, there's a new cause you want to participate in? What is it? Or is it just, being a living, walking testimony of God's goodness?
Yeah, I mean, we both were already pretty ministry minded people in general. But to just, I guess it gave me a lot more boldness. I'm not super outgoing by nature. I'm not a very bold person necessarily. But just living through this and seeing that, when you do believe something in faith and you claim it and you share it with others, that miracle is all of ours. Like, there were so many people praying together with us that it was overwhelming. And I feel kind of like I owe them a little bit of this, of sharing this with them and continuing to live faithfully. I'm like, guys, to our kids, they were blown away by all of the generosity and everything that our people were doing for us. And I was like, you guys, don't ever think that you're not loved. Don't ever think that what you say is not important, because people are watching and listening. Yeah. And we can make a difference. And I think they're seeing that.
I think I've learned not to worry about what's next. Our philosophy in our marriage has been open all the doors and let the Lord close them. It was nowhere in my plan to have 11 children.
Nope.
To, live downtown Marion, to nearly die. None of that was what I thought would happen. So as far as what's next, I plan on teaching school next year.
Yeah.
In the meantime, and I've told the Lord, if this is something you use to reach a lot of people through speaking or through appearances or however you want to use it, whether you want to use this a lot for a short time or whether you want to string this out over the course of years, it's a yes.
It's a yes.
It's a yes. So I've had people call and they want me to come talk at church. It's a yes. It's a yes. Sharing about what it's like to adopt, and we have some kids that are special needs, and we've shared that story for years at conferences and things. And however the Lord weaves this whole thing together, and however He wants us to share it, yes.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything else that you all want to say that you haven't shared already?
I think one of the things that's been a benefit, we've had a great marriage. This is my best friend. And
25 years this month.
Oh, congratulations.
I was going to be real mad if he didn't make it to our anniversary.
I hear you. You're like, not now. We've got to get to 25 and beyond. I hear you.
We function as a unit.
Sure.
And it was a really challenging time to be separated from her for that long. And I was having trouble sleeping until I got hold of, it's really sappy.
I like sappy. Go for it.
I got a hold of her deodorant and I lined up all the pillows in the bed next to me and put her deodorant on them, and I could finally sleep because it felt and smelled like my wife. And I came out of this ordeal realizing again how much I love the woman that God provided for me.
Amen.
And how thankful I am for a wonderful, beautiful, godly wife who did an amazing job holding our family together.
Amen.
Through all of this trauma. And I'm just so proud of her and how she's conducted herself. I think she's the bigger miracle than me. I just laid around. We did all the hard work.
You did all the hard work. Anything you want to add to close us out?
I wanted to just say I know there's a lot of people that are honoring healthcare workers and everything right now, and they should be. I cannot tell you how awful it was to not be able to be with my husband when I thought I would never see him again. And those nurses would do everything they could in their power to help me, and to, they would text me a picture of his hand. I got a picture of his hand, and the second he woke up, they were like, would you like a video of him moving? I mean, he wasn't even alert yet, but they were doing everything they could to be there for me, so keep me connected to him as much as they could. And and one of the nurses even went so far, one of the nights they didn't think he was going to make it through the night, and she sat and held his hand and just prayed over him that for like an hour, until she was certain that he was going to make it, because she didn't want him to die alone. And I know that that's what these people face every day. And it was my husband, not hers, but she cared that much. And I'll never, ever forget that. And they all were doing amazing things that we don't even know. I only know because of what happened to us. But there's so much that they're doing that people have no idea. And they deserve every bit of praise and credit that they get.
We're so thankful for these nurses especially.
Yeah.
And the kind of care I received, it's second to none.
Yeah.
And
in both hospitals, that it was just incredible.
It's been humbling and overwhelming, and we're just super thankful for the frontline providers.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for sharing your story. I'm humbled that you all have agreed to speak with us and to open up your hearts and to share your faith, and it's going to make a difference in so many people's lives. It already has, and I love everything that you've shared and how you've ministered to me today as well. So I just want you all to know that your lives are touching people, because you just never know where someone is, and your story and testimony of faith is profound. It's profound. So you are doing God's work. I just want to just clarify. So you were 28 days on a ventilator. Any other? What was the actual date that you went into the hospital?
The 26th of March.
March 26th. Okay.
And then he was released May 6th.
Released May 6th. I mean, you are just fresh out.
Yeah.
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 And I'm doing great.
You're doing awesome. And what classes do you teach at? It's Marion High School, right?
No, I teach at Oak Hill.
Oh, Oak Hill. Okay, that's right.
And I teach 4th grade.
And it's 4th grade, and it's all classes or subjects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Subjects. Okay. 4th grade. So you're going to be back there. I love that.
That's the plan. Well, it's still my calling until I receive word otherwise.
How long have you been a teacher at Oak Hill?
24 years.
24 years. Wonderful. 24 years. All right. Wonderful. I think that's everything I need. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And if
do you know when the story will be?
It's going to air. I just talked to my producer and I told them about what I was working on. They're like, I love it. So next Thursday at 6 p.m.
Okay.
We will be promoting it on air and also on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. And it will air next Thursday at 6. And then there will be a video link and post on our website as well. So this story will go on forever.
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you guys so much. So much.
You.
Please give our love to your family. Give them a hug, because you can hug your family.
Yes.
I'm going to give you a virtual hug from my husband and my family to you all. We just are so grateful for you. We really are.
Thank you.
Andrea, can I pray with you?
You absolutely can. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Father, I thank you for Andrea and for the work she does in the public eye. And I just ask that you would strengthen her and embolden her
Yeah.
and help her to continue to live out her faith publicly. We just thank you for the call you've placed on all of our lives to serve in different ways. And God, I just ask that you would use this story of your miracle in our lives to bring glory to you, to bring encouragement to people that need it. And may nothing point to us, but may everything point to your goodness, your faithfulness, and your trustworthiness. And for everything that happens, we give you praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to work today. My gosh, I just want to call and say I'm taking a PTO. Thank you all so very much. May God continue to bless you, and I'll be in touch over the next few days. And if you have any other videos or pictures you want to share, you have my cell phone number. Just share it with me, and I'll make sure to try to include it in the story.
Do you have the one of him coming out with the kids seeing him? Or I might have just sent you a still.
I think it's just a still.
I have a video of that if you want it.
Yes, please send the video. That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Is it easier for me to send you my email address, or what is it?
Well,
too long?
I think it's actually a YouTube link because I'll try and see. But otherwise, yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay, sounds great. All right, wonderful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for praying for me. We'll continue to pray for you all and have a fabulous weekend.
Thank you. You too.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.